Thank you for staying with us. This is Women at the Forefront right here on Good Morning Kenya, which is a segment that we get to highlight women who are doing amazing and great things all together for the community and the country at large. And this is mainly to inspire the next generation of women. So if you're a young lady, if you're a lady watching this, this is exactly for you. Not to, shove away the gentlemen. No, you're also going to be part of this conversation. And allow me to introduce my guest this morning. That is our woman at the forefront. Her name is Mercy Gedanji, and Mercy is an executive director and also the head Stanbic Foundation. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Vivian, and thank you for having me this morning.
It is a pleasure to have you here this chilly morning.
Yes.
Now we will be talking about mentorship beyond the boardroom and finding ways in which we can cultivate the next generation of women trailblazers. So just to give an overview, when we talk about mentorship beyond the boardroom, how does that practically look like from your point of view?
Interesting question, Vivian. I think it has many aspects. Right now, what you and I are doing is mentorship. Absolutely. Because hopefully by the end of this conversation, there will be some nuggets. Somebody watching will think, oh, what Mercy said or what Vivian said, that is something I can go practice. And again, the communities we find ourselves in, many of us find ourselves going to churches. We find ourselves in some chama with the younger people. We are also aunties and mothers and shows at some point. So how do we carry ourselves in all the spaces we find ourselves in, so that somebody does not only hear what you say, but they see what you're doing and they think, I can emulate what that person is doing. Even when you look at the newspapers and find a woman trailblazer, and the question becomes, how did she get here? And if you get to see her story, that's still mentorship. So you don't have to have a one-on-one with someone, but you can actually emulate somebody's life from afar, because you can relate to where they are coming from and think, let me see how they got where they are, so that I can see how to get there. Yeah.
Very well explained. Mentorship happens in our everyday life. I agree with you on that. So your work is mainly anchored on, advancing financial inclusivity for women as well as other things. I want us to first major on this. So when we talk about that, just advancing women's financial inclusion, how do we shift this to the point where it is getting to that woman in the grassroots level? It's trickling down to every other woman.
And I think that has been the question for the longest time. You called me here. We are here, Vivian, because I'm doing this work from Stanbic Foundation.
Yes.
And that is one of the major things we are doing with one of the, actually two projects on financial inclusion. And what we are saying is there are some women down there who are not included even in they are not even visible in the banking space, or rather in the financial places where, whether it's banks, whether it is MA, wherever, microfinance, there is no visibility on them. So, tunaenda mashinani. That's what we call it, mashinani. And mashinani, we want to go to that woman who is still wanakabambe.
Yes.
Kanaitangwa mulikamwizi. Hako, uko sokoni akiuza vegetables. That one who, when she looks at the bank, she thinks she should not enter the bank because that is not for her. And we are telling her, imagine all these places, all of us are worthy of getting in them. So when we go there, you asked how we are bringing them up. What we go there, we do is we bring them together, mobilization. We begin training. Training, which is very basic. It begins with, you must learn to separate your financials, your business money, and your personal money. So that you don't just think, because I have gone home with 1,000, the 1,000 is mine. Kuna ya biashara na kuna yako. So when you learn to separate those, then you learn to save. As you learn to save, you see that we start seeing transactions.
Yes.
As then you are becoming bankable because somebody can see some transactions. So yes, tunaenda huko mashinani, Vivian, and we are interested in that woman, because when a woman succeeds, a family succeeds, and when a family succeeds, the nation succeeds.
Yes, they say that when a woman succeeds, the community succeeds, and the entire nation gets to succeed. So maybe what would you say are the gaps that are standing in line of women getting to their fullest potential?
There are many gaps. One which has been talked about a lot is even what does in a paternal society. A woman really does not own much. The property is the husband's. So even if you're working in, let's say, your coffee farm or tea farm or wherever it is you're farming, it's not your farm. Therefore, even improving it becomes difficult, because let's go to like the coffees and the teas. When the money comes, guess in whose name it is?
The man's name.
Guess who did the work? That becomes a barrier, because if it is indeed yours and you think you know how to improve it, you would be getting the money at the bank and you know how to put some money back into the farm. But if it is not yours, you're almost just the worker there. You might never improve your yields, because you never really have any money to improve. You're literally an unpaid worker. That becomes one of the biggest barriers, because even if you go to the bank and they ask for collateral, you do not have collateral. So it becomes difficult to be able to access finance if you have no collateral, which is one of the things we are working on giving small grants, so that you're able to, you can start catalyzing your business with grants that do not require collateral. The other things, of course, is like what we were talking about earlier, about even our financial literacy. There is financial literacy, there is also digital literacy. Because if you find the person again with the kabambe, there is only so much you can do in terms of sending, let's say, training materials, logging into digital products. So that lack of, I don't want to call it, I want to say that lack of digital skilling at a level that you can access information also puts a woman down. So there are many barriers. And those, of course, since we're also talking about girls, the things we tell ourselves. We tell ourselves that those are not our spaces. Bwana ataenda huko. So we need to kujichocha. We need to say, even I belong into that space. So that we also don't create our own internal barriers to things that we might be able to get into if we only had the courage to take ourselves to those spaces. And it's mental, it's physical, or that.
And I love that you've brought about the matter on digital inclusion and digital skills, and just ensuring that we are keeping up with that, because it's the era we live in now, right now, with even the emergence of things like AI. So when you talk about digital skills, how do we input, or how do we bring on board, this with looking at youth empowerment in the long run? When you look at digital skills, how do we now bring it together whereby we are now ensuring that we are empowering, the youths in line with that?
That is a whole national conversation. It is. It needs so many players on the table, all the way from the top. Because remember, for even somebody to have digital literacy, they need to have access to a computer, access to a laptop, access to internet, access to power. You can see how many players need to be in the same to have enabled a classroom for a child to be able to start learning digital skills. I know we can do it on our phone. Maybe some people watching are saying, but we can do it on our phone. But for you to do it on your phone, you must have started also learning it somewhere. So Vivian, I think it starts very far in our classrooms. How are we enabling the kids to start digital literacy? Because as you rightfully said, there is nowhere we can go without the digital skills. In fact, for us, we have a program called future ni digital. There is no other future. Future ni digital.
Yeah.
Then when we leave also primary school, hoping that we got some basic skills. Again, whether we are going to universities, remember nowadays even universities, they are teaching with PowerPoint. You have to write your work on some laptop, meaning even from home, you must be enabled with a laptop.
Yeah.
When we get to the TVET, I have always said one of the biggest things, if somebody can be, let's even say a welder, if you get your digital skilling right, and somebody gives you a get on 3D, si utanunua.
Exactly.
Because you're seeing what they're telling you, this is how we'll make your gate, this is the 3D. You can see how it will fit.
Yeah.
You will buy it at a premium. Imagine being sold by the other guy on the roadside, ule anakuambianga, nitakuchorea, utaona tu vile itatokea. So in short, in the digital skills also allow us to be able to sell our products at a premium. It allows us to do the gig economy. You guys and the younger ones, the jobs are very scarce nowadays. But you can work here, work there. So in short, I don't want to say it is like the breath we breathe because we must breathe to live. Yeah. But in the hierarchy of Maslow, digital skills is really coming as one of the basic skills that we must have.
Yeah. And you know, speaking about that, it is evident that many young people are well equipped when it comes to digital skills. You know, many of them, I mean, they are now growing up in that era, so they are quite well equipped. So maybe what we may say is sometimes we don't know how to bridge the gap between the talent, because you already have this skill, so you have this talent, between the talent and the opportunities. So maybe what best way do you believe would come and assist in just bridging that gap between the talent and the opportunities available?
I think it's a combination of many things, Vivian. The first thing when you're talking that got to me, I started thinking, do you have a hunger in yourself to succeed? Or you're happy in your parents' house when you're talking about the younger people. If you have hunger, you start finding ways to put your skills to use. The other one is around entrepreneurship. I think we go to school so that we do well, we go to university, we pass, and then we get a job, right? Our path is very well set. The question is that path relevant anymore? How many jobs are there? We are producing, I think, a million kids every year coming into the job market, which cannot absorb all of them. So what are we doing as the foundations that I find myself in, the communities that we found ourselves in? And back to what you also began with, mentorships, even as we mentor these people, and even at the national level, what are we doing to have a mind shift? That we are not going to school to be employed. We are going to school to come out and become entrepreneurs who are going to employ. So I think the biggest thing is around how mind shifts for anybody who wants to bridge that gap between opportunity and talent, because people keep on thinking that my talent needs to be sold to an employer. And where is the employer? Then we start getting frustrated. And I've just remembered something else I like saying, because I'm a life coach. What is it that you have in your hands? Let's start there. Let's not say that things must come from there. Let's also start asking, back to what you said, in economic education, I am a digital native. What do I do with these skills that I already have? How can I monetize the skills that I have?
So what I'm getting out of that, you know, a question has just cropped up from that. So can we talk about empowerment without including financial independence? Is it possible to talk about empowerment without including the economic part of it, or just that financial independence?
I think not, because money makes the world go round. Money makes life livable. Money is able to buy you things. And again, the financial empowerment brings dignity into our lives. I don't think anybody wants to ask mom for bus fare. If you can get into your pocket. In fact, there is warmth that comes when you know you have something for yourself. So I don't think, because there are all types of empowerment, but I think for the conversation today, we want to say that financial inclusion is very important in empowerment, because again, how are we going to drive growth if it's not through economic empowerment?
Yeah. So you have your career spans more than 3 decades.
Yes.
So that's more than 30 years in that space, in the space of international development, in the state of in that space of banking and all of that. So I'm sure, as you were navigating through all these years, there have been failures. There have been maybe setbacks along the way. And I'm sure that this is something that we all tend to find ourselves in. It's really inevitable sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's quite inevitable. So for a person who's watching us right now, maybe a young lady, a young gentleman, and this is where they are in their career path. So they're trying to maybe make a transition because of a career setback that has got to them. How would you advise them to navigate?
I like that question, Lillian, very much, because one of the things that we are guilty of, many of us, is looking like we just dropped from heaven and our career path has just been paved with gold. So it's also good to show people that there have been setbacks. I do not want to answer what somebody should do, but I can tell them what I did.
Please.
For me, I would say when I started in banking, I spent 10 years in the bank, and then I chose, if banking was not for me, I wanted to go into the development sector. And I left without a plan. So insight there, lesson number 1, have a plan. Don't just leave a job because it is not working, unless it has health issues, or really you can actually say it's not working for me completely. But even before it gets to that level, please be able to say, this is not working for me. So what are my options? Do I want to go back to school? Do I want to look for another job? So have options, have a plan B. Don't just live like me, who left and went home, spent 2 weeks at home, and then realized housewifing was not my thing. And for me, I left and went back to school. When I came back, it was transitioning to development sector was hard, because everywhere you go, people tell you your skills are in banking. So how do you want to come to this other side? So what I would say is volunteer. Find out what is that place you want to go to. What are the skills that you need? Is it something you can get in school? Then you go back to the classroom. Is it something you can get volunteering? You can be saying, I wanted to move into the digital space. My church does media. A lot of churches nowadays do media. I've been leading media services in my church for the last 2 years. Then you, the employer, can see the transferable skills, right? So in short, prepare yourself with the skills that you need to transition to where you want to go. Don't be hot-headed and decide this is not working for me and just move. So that has happened to me. And the other thing which I really am a believer of, write your goals down. Write the things you want in this life, because they shall forever remind you, this is where I'm going. You have a path. When other things come this way and this way, you are not pulled into different directions. You wanted to go this way, now tunakusikia you're on this side. Have focus, so that you have guardrails to help you focus into the direction you want to go. And life is meandering, Vivian. We don't get where we want to go on a straight line. We meander around. But always, if I ask you why you're here, you will be able to tell me, I'm here because I want to go here, but this is what I've come to collect here, so that it propels me to the direction I want to go. So focus on the things that you want. But change of direction is also allowed, because as we grow older and wiser and we get to know other things, we could change direction. So don't also say, because when I was 25, I decided I must become a pilot. Even now, nasijafika huko at 37, this is where I'm still going. Sometimes I call it in the meantime.
Yes.
What are you doing? You might reach here, or you realize somewhere around the 32, actually that's not what I want.
Yeah, you take the detour and keep
Completely,
moving.
it is your life, and it is your one life. Live it well.
Very well said. So now there's something you had mentioned earlier on self-belief, and I want to get into that, because sometimes the barrier isn't really, you know, the capabilities that we have. Sometimes it may be our self-doubt, what we now call, or what we call, imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And I feel like so many people get to struggle with imposter syndrome, whereby you ask yourself, am I good enough for that space? I've gotten this job, yes, this leadership role, yes, but am I good enough? So you keep doubting yourself. What would you say is the best way, just from your point of view, and maybe from the experience you've had over the years, the best way to dismantle that from within?
I would start by saying 95% of individuals have imposter syndrome.
Tell me about it.
You see? And it's, people don't know that. I think I'm the only one with it. So I think by virtue of knowing, most of us suffer from it, but we do it anyway. I'm trying to remember a quote, I can't remember well, that says something about, it's not the absence of, we don't do things because of absence of fear. We just do it anyway. And you see, unless I sat here and started telling people how I felt before I came to this studio, they would not know. They would think that woman looks like she's confident, she knows what she's talking about. You have no idea. When I was sitting in the room across, the thoughts that were going through my mind, how will in the interview turn out. Those things turn out, and even for people who, we've seen big people who speak in big conferences, they always say before they come on stage, they are full of stage fright. But once they start, they do it anyway, and in short, you conquer your fear. So what I would start by saying to answer your question is, self-awareness is very important. I know I suffer from imposter syndrome, but start looking at the facts. The people who recruited you, they didn't know what they were doing. There must be something they saw in you. So even if I don't believe in myself, let me say, if Vivian brought me to this job, there is something she saw. So let me go and do the work on what. And maybe even at employment space is, you know, we have this 360 degrees feedback. Go back to your colleagues and ask them, what is it that you see in me? Go back to your boss and see what is it that you see me doing well, and what are the areas that I can improve on. And in the process, you will get to know, I am good in these things. Therefore, I shall deal with my mindset with facts. I have gotten an award for best something. You begin to talk to those small voices in your head that tell you you're not good enough. When I did that event, I was great. So deal with that. I am good. So in short, you're right. It is internal conversations that we have with ourselves, and that self-awareness to tell ourselves, because I have a goal, I know where I'm going.
Okay, as we almost come to a conclusion of our conversation this morning, you also do coaching. So you coach executives, you coach professionals. Why is it fundamental?
Why it's fundamental is just what we have been dealing with, number one. Because if you're by yourself, you do not have somebody pushing you, then you can come to a point of telling yourself, after all, can I really deal with that other level? You talk to yourself and tell yourself, no, I think let me stay here. Because many of us are also afraid of failure. But in the coaching space, we will talk about why you're afraid of failure. Why can you not? I mean, you cannot fail before you've even tried. And one of the biggest regrets in life is the things we did not do. It's not the things we did. It's the things we never got to do. So in the coaching space, we get somebody to listen to you with no judgment, with no agenda. The only agenda in that room is to help Vivian, is actually to support and to partner with Vivian to get to where you want to go. Because when you come to that room, we are talking about you. not me. And what is it that you want to do with your life? And because it is a very safe space, you're able to voice some things you've never even voiced to your friends or your family, because you can get an answer that tells you, how do you think you can get there? But for me as a coach, I'll tell you, let's map up the journey on how you're going to get there.
Yeah. So altogether, you know, our subtopic was cultivating the next generation of female trailblazers. How does that look like?
I think, how does it look like? I think it looks like what you're doing, bringing women to this table, and young women watching, thinking, I like that one, I like that one. I would say somebody can even go further and say, when I listen to that one speak and they spoke to me, I will reach out to them and ask for mentorship. I tell you, women are also interested in mentoring other women. I will reach out to her for mentorship purposes. Or depending on where you are in your career, I will find a coach. So, or sometimes it's just a trigger. It triggered something in me. Maybe it is in mindset that now I will go and read about that thing. Or now I am motivated to go do that thing that I have not been doing. So it looks different things to different things. But ultimately, you see, it is me as the young woman to figure out from all the information I'm getting, how do I digest it and what do I do about it? Yeah.
All right. I want to finalize with a question that I like asking the women I get to sit on this table with. If you were to mentor your younger self with words, what would you tell her?
Which younger? The 10, the 20?
The younger one who's just getting into, you know, now discovering herself, that 18-year-old, 18 to 21-year-old you.
What would I tell her? I would tell her to be more confident. I would tell her to ask more. I would tell her to be more visible, and that not everybody is thinking about you. The only person who really cares about you is you, and number 2 is your mother. So how do I advocate for myself better, to myself and to others? Advocate more, advocate better.
Amazing.
And be fearless. There's nothing to fear. The world doesn't owe you anything. So go out there fearlessly and ask. Not just asking. Ask yourself, ask the Lord, ask the universe for that you want. Don't be afraid. Yeah.
Allow me to ask you for your final remarks. That's your camera. You can finish it off.
Final remarks to who?
Whoever you want to speak to this morning.
I think maybe let me speak to the youth, because I'm also a mother of sons. So I don't want to say girls or boys. It's for the young people. I want to say that I know the world is hard out there. It was also hard in when we started off. The question is not what the world can do for you. The question is, what can you begin doing by the skills that you have as you await, or as you work towards that thing that you've always wanted. One of the things I say is most of the young people find themselves getting overwhelmed. One of the things that makes people overwhelmed is when you are not doing something. So the minute you find yourself overwhelmed, ask yourself, what am I doing? 2 to 3 things that I am doing constantly, because it is about that constancy, what's the word? Consistency, resilience, that will get where you're going, and it will also allow you to wake up tomorrow morning without getting depressed that this world has rejected me. Yes.
All right. It was a pleasure having you on the show this morning. Thank you for being our woman at the forefront this Wednesday.